Teachers, have you read all the paragraph?
Sure.
Okay. Firstly, let's listen to someone talking about communication across the generations. Let's take the things he mentioned. So here, the statement 1 to 7, and please listen to the audio, everybody.
Track 1.7.
4 generations, and they all prefer communicating in
Okay, can you hear the audio very well?
Yes, very well.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
different ways. There are sure to be misunderstandings and other problems, right? Well, there don't have to be. Okay, so I'm a millennial. I was born in 1990, and so being able to connect with people is really important to me. I'm constantly trying to learn, grow, and change. And for me, fast, on-screen communication is the best way to do this. I love the way that the internet puts you in touch with all kinds of people you wouldn't meet in everyday life. Generation X, on the other hand, uses communication to build relationships and develop ideas. This sounds pretty good, but they express their feelings and opinions directly and aren't afraid to say or write how they feel. My boss is Generation X, and she definitely has an opinion on everything. And of course, at home, I spend time with baby boomers and veterans. My dad is a typical baby boomer. They have a lot in common with Generation X. They can be quite direct about what they think. I don't always agree with his opinions, but I do appreciate his honesty. Usually. And baby boomers definitely prefer face-to-face communication. My dad's really not very good with emails, social networking, or anything like that. My grandparents are in the generation called veterans. For them, communication is something that keeps people together and traditions alive. Both veterans and baby boomers take time to talk things over that matter to their job or family, but are not that interested in chatting about personal goals and development. Understanding these different communication styles is really important for improving our relationships, both at work and at home. So, for example, one really big difference between us millennials and the other 3 generations is that we expect people to tell us, gently, how we're doing. So, I used to get a bit annoyed with my boss for not giving me enough feedback about how things are going at work. But then I realized that other generations don't necessarily notice this difference. So I learned not to be upset if older people didn't praise me all the time. And I also learned to ask for help if I needed it. Similarly, some of us millennials find it difficult when people criticize us or disagree with us. Generation X and baby boomers will tell you clearly if they don't like something. Don't take it personally, although that's often easier said than done. On a practical level, it can help to use different communication styles with different generations. Pick up the phone, write emails, and make time for face-to-face conversation. When you do, pay attention to your writing style. You might think an informal style is friendly, but to an older person, it can seem rude. Finally, understand that communication differences across generations do exist. So talk about them with people of all ages. This can open the door to other conversations. You can learn a lot by hearing older people's experiences, and in turn, you might be able to teach them about life in the modern world.
Yes, teachers. You can annotate on the screen. Which statements did you hear? Only 3. One. 137. Yes, teachers, can you tell me one evidence, one you think is number 1? He mentioned millennial like connecting with people online. What did you hear? Like one evidence about number 1? What about 3? Did you hear any evidence?
For the
Yes.
3, they said that he mentioned Generation X and Baby Boomer will directly tell how they feel, and they won't take it personally, but they will share openly without keeping it on their mind.
Yeah, that's it. What about I saw some teachers take number 6 and 7. Do you have any
Yes.
idea? Yes?
Some people use when they write an email, some people use an informal language. So it might be sometimes rude for them. So we need to check we need to check the correct spelling.
Oh, yes. It's number 6,
And
right?
for the number 7, since we were born in different generations, we might not have the same. So instead, we can learn from each other by sharing or listening their experience, how they face, how they think. So that's why number 7 was included here.
Yeah, that's it. It's 6 and 7. And what about other teachers? Do you have different ideas? Do you have any opinions? Teacher, do you need one more time to listen? Because we have to do another comprehension task here.
Yes, it will be better to get the main
Yes.
idea if we listen again.
Yeah. So before we listen again, teachers, please read number 1 to 5 question in your mind.
Track 1.7.
4 generations, and they all prefer communicating in different ways. There are sure to be misunderstandings and other problems, right? Well, there don't have to be. Okay, so I'm a millennial. I was born in 1990, and so being able to connect with people is really important to me. I'm constantly trying to learn, grow, and change. And for me, fast, on-screen communication is the best way to do this. I love the way that the internet puts you in touch with all kinds of people you wouldn't meet in everyday life. Generation X, on the other hand, uses communication to build relationships and develop ideas. This sounds pretty good, but they express their feelings and opinions directly and aren't afraid to say or write how they feel. My boss is Generation X, and she definitely has an opinion on everything. And of course, at home, I spend time with baby boomers and veterans. My dad is a typical baby boomer. They have a lot in common with Generation X. They can be quite direct about what they think. I don't always agree with his opinions, but I do appreciate his honesty. Usually. And baby boomers definitely prefer face-to-face communication. My dad's really not very good with emails, social networking, or anything like that. My grandparents are in the generation called veterans. For them, communication is something that keeps people together and traditions alive. Both veterans and baby boomers take time to talk things over that matter to their job or family, but are not that interested in chatting about personal goals and development. Understanding these different communication styles is really important for improving our relationships, both at work and at home. So, for example, one really big difference between us millennials and the other three generations is that we expect people to tell us, gently, how we're doing. So, I used to get a bit annoyed with my boss for not giving me enough feedback about how things are going at work. But then I realized that other generations don't necessarily notice this difference. So I learned not to be upset if older people didn't praise me all the time. And I also learned to ask for help if I needed it. Similarly, some of us millennials find it difficult when people criticize us or disagree with us. Generation X and baby boomers will tell you clearly if they don't like something. Don't take it personally, although that's often easier said than done. On a practical level, it can help to use different communication styles with different generations. Pick up the phone, write emails, and make time for face-to-face conversation. When you do, pay attention to your writing style. You might think an informal style is friendly, but to an older person, it can seem rude. Finally, understand that communication differences across generations do exist. So talk about them with people of all ages. This can open the door to other conversations. You can learn a lot by hearing older people's experiences, and in turn, you might be able to teach them about life in the modern world.
Yes, teacher. Let's go back.
Actually, he mentioned is all six topic except number 4. Men and women have different ways of
Yes.
communicating.
So, teachers, do you think he also mentioned number 5? Yeah, except
Yes.
4.
He said he mentioned number 5 by giving example of millennials. He expect millennials like to give to take him gently, but he didn't get it. So
Yeah.
that's why he mentioned we shouldn't get upset. He never get upset later when he understand.
Yeah, we should understand older generation, like that he mentioned.
Yes.
And then, teachers, do you think he mentioned number 2? Millennial and veteran usually hate each other. Did he say?
No.
No. Yeah,
No.
teacher.
He didn't mention it.
Yeah, he didn't mention it. So let's move to this activity. Which generation is the speaker from, teachers?
Millennials.
Yeah. Yeah, millennial. And what does Generation X believe communication is important for?
I think his Generation X believes communication is important for building relationship and developing ideas.
Yeah, to develop idea and to build the relationship. Yes.
Yes.
And which 2 generation don't want to talk about their personal goals?
Baby boomer and
Veterans and baby
veterans.
boomers.
Yes, teachers. Teachers, if you are not okay to say, you can type, no, teachers. What do millennials expect other people to tell them?
Millennial is to other people to
To
tell
tell them gently.
gently.
Yeah, of course, to tell them gently. What can younger generations offer to older generations?
Younger generation can teach them
Modern life.
their life in modern way.
Yeah. Thank you, teachers. So which of the ways of communicating do you think is the best for you? Which do you find very difficult? And talking to older people, if you think the way of communicating to older people or younger people, teachers, you can annotate like cross. You can cross out. Which ways of communicating are difficult for you? Yes, listening. You mean listening when people criticize me? Avoiding arguments. Yeah, interesting. Thank you, teachers. Teachers, can you say only one reason? Why you hate talking to older people? Or why you hate talking to people from different countries?
For me, talking to other people is quite challenging.
Yeah.
The reason is we have different ideas and different opinions in every way. Like about the technology and then like about the way we believe. It's very far with their ideas. So sometimes it's very difficult to accept their opinions. And
Yes.
nowadays, like when we talk about AI, so they always care about AI like this. So it's quite challenging to discuss with them. And also even when we talk about other things like sensitive topic, political or social. So for them, they're afraid. So for us, these kind of topics are very quite challenge to talk with them. So for me, yeah, this is very difficult for me to talk with them.
Yeah, sometimes we cannot teach them or we cannot say them. We cannot lead the way we cannot lead the way that we see. We cannot make them to see the way that we see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And also expressing my feeling is quite challenging for me because
Yes.
I want to express my feeling to other people. So it is also one of the things that make me difficult to communicate. But like expressing opinion, talking to people from different countries, talking to younger people is quite easy for me, and I can handle it.
Yeah.
And also avoiding arguments. Yes, I always avoid it.
Yes. So to be able to express our feeling, we can share our feeling and our emotion even when we feel comfortable with them. So at the time we can share our feeling, but not with everyone. So for the one teachers, please tick the things you have done recently. Have you met someone new? Or Did you have a communication problem with someone from other generation? Interesting. Spoken a foreign language outside class. Almost all the things you have done, teachers. So teachers, you have never met a famous person? Okay. Yes, thank you. Today we are going to listen one interesting topic. Before we listen, teachers, can you guess the topic?
Internet.
Not internet.
Internet.
Yes, the one includes the net, but not internet, yes. Teachers, what is the difference words of inter?
Internet. Internet.
No, teachers. The difference, the opposite meaning of inter.
Intra.
Not intra. When teacher say, can you repeat, teachers?
Extra.
Not extra, not extra. It's
Intra.
that O. Yes, outer, teachers. Teachers, can you guess the meaning of alternate? What does it mean before we listen? You can type in this chat, teachers. What does this mean, alternate? It's obvious we don't apply internet to communicate. Teachers, please guess and type anything that you think. I accept all your ideas, teachers. In person, yes, kinda. Who guess, teacher? Wireless, no word. Yes, of course, teachers. It's so close. A life without internet. Yes. Offline. Yes. Face to face. Yeah, network. Yes, teachers, let's listen to the audio.
This is a download from BBC Learning English. To find out more, visit our website.
6 Minute English from BBC Learning English.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Catherine. Hello.
Hello, Catherine. Now, how was your holiday?
My holiday was lovely, Neil. I was staying on a beautiful island. It was very remote, and there was actually no internet access, so I did feel quite cut off, actually.
And cut off means isolated. How did you survive, Catherine?
Well, it wasn't easy, but I had my e-reader. That's an electronic device which lets you store and read lots of books from the internet. And I read a lot of Harry Potter.
Harry Potter? I know you like wizards, Catherine, but shouldn't you have downloaded some classic literature? How about Shakespeare's The Tempest? That's got a wizard in it too.
Well, yes, indeed, but Shakespeare on the Beach isn't quite right for me, Neil.
Right, well, today we're talking about how poorer and more remote or distant parts of the world can get access to learning.
That's right. But before we start, Neil, I believe you have a quiz question for us.
Yes, I do. I would like to know what the proportion of the world's population that still has no internet access is. Is it A, a quarter, B, half, or C, 2/3?
I'm going to go for C, 2/3.
Okay, well, we'll find out if you're right or wrong later on in the programme. So, Catherine, how can these people get connected to the internet and start surfing?
By using the Outernet.
The outer what?
The Outernet. That's the idea of entrepreneur Saeed Karim, and its goal is to give people in unconnected communities access to information without having to use expensive mobile phones or two-way satellite networks.
I see. And an entrepreneur, by the way, is a person who makes money by starting their own business that typically...
Teachers, did you get the idea? What's the alternate mean? What does the alternate mean?
I think giving and doing the
Okay, let's listen one more time, teachers.
yes.
This time, teachers, while we are listening to the meaning of alternates, please consider the answer for the gaps here.
This is a download from BBC Learning English. To find out more, visit our website.
6 Minute English.
From BBC Learning English.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Catherine. Hello.
Hello, Catherine. Now, how was your holiday?
My holiday was lovely, Neil. I was staying on a beautiful island. It was very remote, and there was actually no internet access, so I did feel quite cut off, actually.
And cut off means isolated. How did you survive, Catherine?
Well, it wasn't easy, but I had my e-reader. That's an electronic device which lets you store and read lots of books from the internet. And I read a lot of Harry Potter.
Harry Potter? I know you like wizards, Catherine, but shouldn't you have downloaded some classic literature? How about Shakespeare's The Tempest? That's got a wizard in it too.
Well, yes, indeed, but Shakespeare on the Beach isn't quite right for me, Neil.
Right, well, today we're talking about how poorer and more remote or distant parts of the world can get access to learning.
That's right. But before we start, Neil, I believe you have a quiz question for us.
Yes, I do. I would like to know what the proportion of the world's population that still has no internet access is. Is it A, a quarter, B, half, or C, 2/3?
I'm going to go for C, 2/3.
Okay, well, we'll find out if you're right or wrong later on in the programme. So, Catherine, how can these people get connected to the internet and start surfing?
By using the Outernet.
The outer what?
The Outernet. That's the idea of entrepreneur Saeed Karim, and its goal is to give people in unconnected communities access to information without having to use expensive mobile phones or two-way satellite networks.
I see. And an entrepreneur, by the way, is a person who makes money by starting their own business that typically involves some financial risk.
Yes, I've always fancied myself as a bit of an entrepreneur.
Well, you'll need money and ideas, Catherine. Have you got either of those?
We mentioned about the alternate teachers, right? Without using the internet.
Yes.
Yes, they're trying to use some e-readers or like some electrical device that can store their
Ebook or PDF file.
yes, like that, yes. So this time, teachers, please listen to the first part of the listening audio and let's find out some answer in the gap. If you find it, you can type the answer in the chat.
This is a download from BBC Learning English. To find out more, visit our website.
6 Minute English.
From BBC Learning English.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Catherine. Hello.
Hello, Catherine. Now, how was your holiday?
My holiday was lovely, Neil. I was staying on a beautiful island.
Yes. Some teacher has got the first gaps. Yes. So this time I will stop the audio. You can type the answer.
It was very remote, and there was actually no internet access, so I did feel quite cut off, actually.
And cut off means isolated. How did you survive, Catherine?
Well, it wasn't easy, but I had my e-reader. That's an electronic device which lets you store and read lots of books from the internet. And I read a lot of Harry Potter.
Harry Potter? I know you like wizards, Catherine, but shouldn't you have downloaded some classic literature? How about Shakespeare's The Tempest? That's got a wizard in it too.
Well, yes, indeed, but Shakespeare on the Beach isn't quite right for me, Neil.
Right, well, today we're talking about how poorer and more remote or distant parts.
Yeah, teachers, do you need one more time? It's a little bit quick.
No, did you?
No?
No.
Okay. My holiday was
Lovely, Neil.
lovely. Yes, lovely, Neil.
I was staying on a
Staying on a beautiful island. It was very remote and
the words.
There was no.
There
was.
yes, there was
No
actually no
internet
internet
Access.
access. Yes. So I did feel
cut off.
Cut off.
quite cut off. Actually, and
Cut off.
cut off means
Isolated.
Isolated.
isolated. Yes.
Well,
Well, it wasn't easy, but I have my
e-reader.
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 Electronic
Electric
standard.
device, which
Download
let you
and read.
And
Store.
store. Yeah, which lets you store and read lots of books from the internet. And I read a lot of Harry
I
Potter.
know you like wizard.
Wizards.
Wizards.
Wizard.
Catherine,
Is
shouldn't you have
Wizard.
downloaded some
Classic literature.
classic
Classic
literature?
literature.
Classic literature. How about Shakespeare, The Tempest?
on the
That's
beach,
got a wizard in it too.
right there
On the beach?
Isn't quite.
right for me.
Isn't quite furry.
Right
Isn't
for me.
quite right for me. Isn't quite
Yes.
right for me. Yes. So this time let's listen to the audio again and answer the question. What's the alternate? And what are the advantages and disadvantages? Benefits and downsides of the alternate.
Parts of the world can get access to learning.
That's right. But before we start, Neil, I believe you have a quiz question for us.
Yes, I do. I would like to know what the proportion of the world's population that still has no internet access is. Is it A, a quarter, B, half, or C, 2/3?
I'm going to go for C, 2/3.
Okay, well, we'll find out if you're right or wrong later on in the programme. So, Catherine, how can these people get connected to the internet and start surfing?
By using the outernet.
The outer what?
The outernet. That's the idea of entrepreneur Saeed Karim, and its goal is to give people in unconnected communities access to information without having to use expensive mobile phones or two-way satellite networks.
I see. And an entrepreneur, by the way, is a person who makes money by starting their own business that typically involves some financial risk.
Yes, I've always fancied myself as a bit of an entrepreneur.
Well, you'll need money and ideas, Catherine. Have you got either of those?
I've got ideas.
Right, okay. I get it.
So, can you tell us how the Outernet works, Neil?
Yes, I can. The Outernet uses existing communications satellites to store and broadcast data. Broadcast means to send out signals or programs. Special equipment on the ground picks up or receives the data, and this can be copied to phones and computers.
But the Outernet broadcasts data offline, which means it's not connected to the internet. There's no communication with the internet for users, so no emails and no chat forums. And that can be a big drawback or disadvantage.
Yes, the Outernet doesn't provide two-way communication. But let's hear Saeed Karim discussing why one-way access has some advantages, and see if you can spot another word meaning two-way.
Anything that is related to bidirectional communications, the internet, to be able to provide that to the entire world, those are billion-dollar projects, multi-billion-dollar projects, with huge, time horizons, and enormous complexity. And, our solution that we're offering is, like I said, it's instantaneous. It exists right now.
Did you get it? Another way of saying two-way is bidirectional. So what are the advantages of one-way communication, Catherine?
It's significantly cheaper. Bidirectional communications are multi-billion-dollar projects, but the Outernet allows poorer communities to benefit from access to information.
Yes, it does, and the other big problem is the time it would take to establish two-way access. Saeed says these projects have huge time horizons, and this means the length of time it takes to complete a project. They're huge, so very big.
But the Outernet is already providing access to some of the world's most valuable knowledge.
That's right. The project aims to create a library of information taken from websites including Wikipedia and Project Gutenberg, which is a collection of copyright-free ebooks. Copyright-free means the right to use material without paying any fees.
That sounds good, but now let's go back to the internet and hear from a BBC reporter talking about another project which aims to get people connected.
Google, for example, is working on Project Loon, a network of high-altitude helium balloons which will boost internet connections across much wider areas beyond coverage from conventional masts.
It's called Project Loon, meaning crazy, because Google thought it was such a crazy idea, and loon sounds like balloon.
Yeah, and the idea is that users will connect to the balloon network or group of interconnected balloons using an antenna attached to their building. The signal travels through the balloon network from balloon to balloon and then to a station on the ground that's connected to the internet.
The balloons will boost or increase the number of people who will be able to access the internet.
Yes, it will, and that's because there will be lots of them compared to the number of masts or tall metal towers that send and receive signals that are currently used.
Okay, so let's have the answer to the quiz question I asked. What proportion of the world's population still has no internet access? Is it A, a quarter, B, half, or C, 2/3?
And I said C, 2/3.
And you were right. The answer is 2/3. Well done, Catherine.
Thank you.
Now, just time to listen to today's words once again, Catherine.
Yeah, teachers, did you hear any advantages and some drawbacks of the Outernet?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teachers. Please say or type.
Hardware, tôi có thể follow. Video.
Let's start with the advantages, teacher. What is the advantages of the Outernet?
It doesn't cost too much, I think.
Yeah.
Like
It
the
doesn't.
bike to buy, yeah, to like the two-way communication.
Yeah.
I think advantages is cheaper.
Sorry, teachers, can you repeat?
Yes, advantages is cheaper and also get valuable information without any copyrights, like Google, Wikipedia, and it use already existing information, and we can
Yes.
download. Yeah, we can download and then keep it. And since there is no copyright, we have the right to use and read it.
Yeah, copyright free.
Yes.
Any disadvantages,
It
teachers?
can give access to,
Yes. Yes, teachers.
And
yeah, it doesn't
drawback,
provide fine communication, two-way communication.
Fine direction.
Yeah.
the disadvantages are not two-way communication and not provided multilingual, and it takes time.
Yes. We have another specific information, for the listening teachers, but let me stop here because we have another lesson to draw the lesson plan. To be able to draw the effective lesson plan, we have four units, teachers. So the first one is we already discussed identifying and selecting aims. And next one is identifying the different components of a lesson plan. Last week we discussed about that. And this week we are going to discuss planning an individual lesson or a sequence of lessons. And after that, the last one, for the coming week, we will talk about choosing assessment activity. So all these, after we have finished all these units, 4 units, we will have drawing the lesson plan assignment, teachers. Assignment tầm tụi hơn. Assignment. Because do you need some activity like game or something like that? Do you need?
Yeah, teacher.
Actually, I have never assigned the game with a lot of students. This game, I mean the quiz about the test. It is from the TKD teachers. Drawing the lesson plan, how much information or knowledge you remember about drawing the lesson plan. So let's do the quiz. Yeah, because of the time limit, let's start today's lesson, teachers.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So let's answer this quiz. For question 1 to 7, let's look at the lesson plan components and the 3 extracts from lesson plans, list A, B, C. 2 of the extras are examined or the component, 1 sentence is not. We have to find this time, teachers. We have to find which is not an example of the component. We are not going to find the answer. Number 1, personal aim to improve the timing of the lesson. Yeah, thank you, teachers. To improve the timing of the lesson, to include all the learners in feedback, to check understanding of new lexical items. So which one is not included in the personal aid, teacher?
A.
Teacher, what do you understand about personal aid? How do you understand personal aid? Personal
Answer
aid,
is C.
yeah, personal aid is you set your own goals, your
Goals.
personal, yes, your personal assumption like that. So teachers, which one is not included?
C.
C?
Yes.
Yeah, what about other teachers? Do you have any different ideas? Yes, the correct answer is C, teachers. Thank you. And assumption. Learners may come from China, Spain, and Thailand. The text will be a useful challenge for this group. Learners are familiar with the topic. Which one is not the assumption, teachers?
C, teacher.
C.
So can you try another answer? Number 2 is not C, teachers.
Ah,
Teacher.
I think answer is A.
Learners are familiar with the topic.
Yeah, assumption is the text will be a useful challenge for this group. It's concerned with our lesson. This is our assumption. And learners are familiar with the topic. It's also our assumption, teachers. So A is learners may
Answer.
come from A, China, Spain, and Thailand. Procedure. Learners mingle to do a survey. The teachers prepares a PowerPoint.
B, teacher.
B. Oi.
Teacher B or C?
C, teacher.
The teacher checks the answer. Which one is not procedure, teacher? We are not choosing the answer, teacher. Not the answer. Incorrect one we have to choose.
A, teacher.
A is learners mingle to do a survey. So this one, it might be included in the procedure, teachers.
The answer is B.
C.
The teacher checked the
B.
answer. Yes, the teacher prepares a PowerPoint presentation. It is not in the procedure, right? This one
Yes.
is the teacher have to prepare it by themselves. By
But,
themselves,
yeah,
yeah.
it's also so.
That's why. So class profile. Class profile is the amount of the students and their level we have to consider. So the learners are at
C, teacher.
pre-intermediate. Yeah, C.
C, teacher.
C.
Yeah, C. And fine, anticipated problem.
C, teacher.
Answer is C.
5 is also C, yes. It is not anticipated problem.
6 B.
B, teacher.
Yes,
say number
that's
B.
assess. It's not iteration pattern. And 7, let me. Timetable fix, teacher.
To introduce new language, C.
C, teacher.
Yes. Thank you, teacher. It's C. Yeah, thank you, teachers. Today's unit is planning an individual lesson or a sequence of lessons. So sometimes we can plan individual lesson, or sometimes we have to plan our lesson in a series, a sequence of lesson, because like some lessons are very very closely linked to each other. That's why sometimes we can plan individual lesson, sometimes we can plan a sequence of lesson. When the lessons are closely connected, we can plan as a sequence of the lesson. So how can we plan an individual lesson or a sequence of the lesson? Firstly, is we already know this point. Let's think about aims first. We have to consider the aims first. And next one is how to achieve this aim. And here, teachers, how do you understand shapes of the lesson?
The overall structure, or maybe the organization of the lesson plan, like the step, how we gonna do, and how we gonna present, like which topic we gonna present, like and the step by step.
Yeah. So shape can be we have our own regular shapes for all the lesson. For example, are we going to teach receptive scale or productive scale? If we are going to teach productive scale, we have to teach the students. Firstly, are we going to start our lesson with the task-based learning, or are we going to teach them with PPP like that? So for the receptive scale, which kind of approach we will teach. So these are the shape of the lesson. And the techniques is also the method of approach. So all these things we have to consider when we make the lesson plan. So it also helps us show the connection between aims and procedure and other background components. So that background components, we already know this one, teacher. In the previous unit, there are many components included in the lesson plan, like timetable fit or personal aim, subsidiary aim. All these things we have to consider. And make sure that the material, task, and activity are appropriate to have the learners. So if our learners are very motivated, or if our learner usually get all of the lesson, so at that time, what kind of materials or activity we need to incorporate into our lesson plan. And another one is a sequence of the lesson. So sequence of the lesson means number of related lessons that develop language knowledge or language skills over a period of time. So sequence of lesson means, for example, if we are going to teach the past tense, so at that time we can link past tense with the present perfect. So past tense is already fit for the past action or past event we have to use. But for the present perfect, is the results they have in our current situation. So like that, the sequence of the lesson is related lesson that develop language knowledge or skills over a period of time. It means sequence of lesson. So here, there are three types of sequence: structural sequence, integrated skill sequence, and project work sequence. So please read this table for 1 minute, teachers. Yes, as we discussed before, we can see in the structural sequence, we can see past simple, present perfect, and past simple, the comparison between past simple and present perfect. For the integrated skills, vocabulary development, describing places. So in the very first lesson, we will teach our students describing places. After this lesson, we will teach them choosing a holiday. So after that, we will let them write the letter to a friend. So the letter to a friend is, the writing style is, the student have to write as a narrator. They have to say about their holiday experience. And the last one is project work sequence. In this sequence of the lesson, firstly, teacher will teach reading and listening about free time activity. So after that, the whole class survey and research, sports and entertainment, about sports and entertainment. And after that, the last lesson will be preparation of a poster display to show results of survey about free time activities. So these three lessons show the lesson sequence. Do you have any question, teachers, about this slide? So let's move next one. When we plan the individual lesson, we have to ask ourselves a number of the questions here, teachers. What is our overall aim? Will the topic be interesting and motivating for our learners? And what are the learning outcomes? Learning outcomes is related with our goals. What do we want the students to have learned by the end of the lesson? And we have to ask ourselves, are the activities and teaching material at the right level for all the learners? Have I planned enough for the time available? Do I need any extra material? And have I planned too little or too much for the time available? Does each step in the lesson help to achieve the aim? Are there any stages I can cut if necessary? Do the steps or stages develop logically out of one another, make learning easier? So this logical order in the lesson plan, we have to ask ourselves. And have I thought about exactly how to start and end the lesson? Are there any aspect of the lesson which I should state as personal aims? So before we make the lesson plan, we should ask ourselves this question. So why do we need to ask these questions to ourselves? Because the answer to the above question make our lesson plan motivating, coherent, and make the lesson plan at the appropriate level. Teacher, do you want to discuss about that? Or can I go next slide?
Yes. You can go ahead.
Yes, teacher. So Here, two set of notes from the procedure section of the lesson plan. The notes from the procedure section of the lesson plan. One is for a lesson introducing and practicing new language. And one is a skill-based lesson. So let's compare these two lessons here, lesson 1 and lesson 2. After you have read this lesson, what will be their differences? The differences between lesson 1 and lesson 2. Yes, in lesson 1, introducing new language. This one is new language is we are teaching function, the language function. And lesson 2 is we are teaching the skills. So when we introduce the new language or function, in the grammar and reading activity, students describe contrasting picture of two cities. And after that, students read article comparing the city in the pictures. We have two noticing tasks, focus on form 1, focus on form 2. The student notice forms used in text for comparison, and after that they deduce rules for formation of comparative adjectives. So firstly, the student notice the form used in text for comparison, and after that they deduce the rules. So after the teacher get the control practice, student applying rules to complete the worksheet, and the next one is speaking text. It might be in pairs. Student make further comparison based on pictures or different places. And teacher get the homework. For the skills, if we are going to teach the skill, firstly, teacher asks the student about the topic. And the teacher pre-teach the vocabulary. Another one is just list reading. And then detailed reading. After that, another detailed reading task 2. And teacher gives the extension speaking. After the teacher gives the homework. So above lesson 1 and lesson 2, when we compare these two lessons, the language lesson usually focus on format features with tasks that give learner more or less control practice. But for the skill-based lesson, it usually aims at learner ability and receptive or productive skill rather than focusing on language. But it's not solely based on the skills like receptive and productive skill. Maybe we focus on the language while we are doing some procedure in our lesson, or our subsidiary aim provides to teach them the receptive skill. So we can include subsidiary aim and procedure. We can include language, but the focus is just on the receptive skill and productive skill. So the teacher start the lesson with the specific sub-skills. Here, just reading text, and after that, detailed reading task 1, detailed reading task 2, but not the language. Teacher, do you see the difference? Any question?
No, yeah, teacher.
Not yet. Teacher, we need to keep in mind that when we teach the student, we have to ask ourselves first, are we going to teach them function or skill? So function is like we are going to teach them the grammar session or vocabulary session, like a vocabulary lesson. But for the skill, it's like receptive skill or predictive skill. The way we deliberate the lesson will be different based on function and skills. And next one is a scheme or work. It is like, teacher, are you familiar with scheme or work?
No, teacher.
How do you understand a scheme or work?
Just a scheme.
Yeah, scheme. So scheme, do you think that the scheme, in the scheme, do we need to write the detail like the lesson plan?
No.
No, yes. It is not as detailed as the lesson plan. So a scheme or work help us to plan a sequence of the lesson in the best way to cover the school syllabus or the unit of a coursework in the time available. And then to think about our aims and materials to include enough variety across our lessons. So here the word variety mean we have to include different types of materials and different types of the activity or different types of interaction pattern, student to students, pair words, group words. So all these things we say variety. For example, teachers, to teach the students, we have to use the particular types of the coursework. So at the time, based on our learner needs, we have to adjust our lesson. Even though the units in the coursework 1, 2, 3, 4 in order, sometimes we can adjust the lesson, like which one is very close, which one is closely linked to other lessons. So at that time, we can link the two units from the coursework, and then we can teach them in that way. So as a teacher, we can adjust the syllabus or we can adjust the unit in the coursework. We don't need to follow the units in the coursework in order. So why do we need a scheme or work? Because a scheme or work help the teachers and learner, both teachers and learner, show clear aims beyond the single lesson, or the teachers and learner need to see how the lessons are linked to each other. So to be able to see how the lessons are linked to each other, we should draw a scheme or work. So it doesn't matter we are doing individual lesson or a sequence of the lesson, but we should consider these 2 points. Are our lesson logical and learning friendly progression, or good balance of approaches and activity? Teachers, how do you understand learning friendly progressions?
Like seeing student perspective or student attitude on learning is not difficult, like, and the
Yeah.
teacher and students are very friendly.
Yes. Teacher, please set aside the word progression. How do you understand learning friendly? Is it easy to learn for the learner or difficult to learn?
Easy to learn for them.
Yeah, easy to learn for the learner. So it means
Yes.
our lesson should be in the logical and learner-friendly progression order. So learner-friendly progression order means one, in the lesson, one stage leads to another in a clear order. Learning-friendly progression means one stage leads to another stages in a clear order. Our lesson should be clear and logical for the learner to learn easily. In the table, we have scheme 1, scheme A, B, and C, teacher. Please read scheme A, B, C, and decide which one is the best scheme for you. Teacher, if you finish reading week 4, let me know, because there are week 6, week 5, and week 6.
Teacher, I'm done with.
Finished, teacher.
Nice, teacher. Thank you. So here, week 5 and week 6. Week 4, 5, 6. Yeah, which one is the best scheme, teacher, for you?
For me, scheme B.
B.
For me,
This is
C.
C, okay. We have our own reason for choosing the best one, right, teacher? Can you give me the reason why you choose B and C?
C because it gives a little bit detailed information.
Yeah, it includes details information.
Yeah, that's why I chose to C.
Yes, thank you, teacher. What about scheme B, teacher?
For me, when I first with the scheme B, scheme B, already provided the important information topic, subtopic, so that I can adjust what I want to teach them. For example, like grammar revision, okay, past tense. So, I can make it to be more detailed by myself. So I've already got scheme what I have to do step by step. Okay, grammar or vocabulary or practice. Okay, week 4. Okay, let's go and check vocabulary. Okay, what kind of vocabulary we already teach. So for me, just scheme B is the best because I already got the outline that I can be adjusted. I can adjust myself to adapt with the uh, situation and circumstance of student level of interest in reality.
Thank you, teachers. Teacher, why don't we choose scheme A? It's very wide, right? There is no enough information about which grammar are we going to teach and then what kind of listening activity we will teach. It's very wide. That's why we don't choose scheme A. Okay, so one thing we need to consider is that our scheme should be flexible because even though we already know the unit or the lesson that we have to teach by looking at the course book, but sometimes we may need to adjust our lesson or we may need to add our own notes or some information in our scheme. So C is very nice, but it includes many details. So at the time, sometimes our learners are not very different and they have different interests and different motivation levels. So at the time, we have to adjust our lesson. So scheme C is a little bit fixed. For the interaction pattern also, they see like the peer correction. For the poor level students, I mean like some students, they cannot correct for the complex sentence or they don't know how to correct. So at that time, we cannot do the peer correction. So what kind of activity we will change to be appropriate for our learner. So scheme B is suitable for the most suitable one because in the scheme B, it includes enough information like grammar, what kind of grammar is past tenses, and free time activity for the vocabulary session. And at the time, we can include our notes here. What kind of interaction pattern will we use? After we have teach the students in week 3, we can adjust in week 4 based on our learner needs. So like that. Teacher, are you satisfied with your answer? Or do you want to discuss? So let's move on. As I said before, this one is the variety. So we have to consider the variety when we draw the lesson plan. So the variety mean here, these factors are the variety. When we do the lesson plan, it is pace. Pace means our lesson is a little bit quick or fast moving or very slow or very reflective. So it shows the pace and the interaction pattern. So when we use the whole class activity or individual pair words, group words, these are the variety. And another one is skills. Productive, receptive, sometimes function, and level of difficulty. So if the lesson is too easy for the student, they will not get the attention. We will not get their attention and they will get bored. So at that time, not demanding, not very demanding, but requiring effort and concentration. So we should choose the lesson average level. And the context, sometimes we should consider their interests. changing from one language point to another, from one subject to another. So based on their interest, we should change the content while we are teaching. And mood. Mood means there is serious or light, happy or sad, tense or relaxed. We have to consider our learner mood and our activity. Games or activity are exciting or calming. Teacher starring me lively and active. Or sadly is quieting down. For example, yes, we know for example, the very young learner, they like to play the game or they prefer activities to sitting down all the time. So at that time, we put a lot of games and activity in our lesson. So our lesson will be starring is lively and active. So at that time, the learners are very young, so we cannot make them calm down. So our lesson should be mixed, starring and settling. We have to consider these two things, starring and settling. We have to mix. Please read these three tips. And which tips are useful and important for you?
The last one, F3.
Yes, teacher. When planning lesson, we may need to think about the needs of individual learners or groups of learners. Yes. And of course, we can provide material and activity or needs that are specific to our groups of learners. Yeah, sometimes we may need to include supplementary materials or activity. Yeah. Any other teachers have different idea? Teachers, let me ask you one question. Have you all are you familiar with these tags or the title about lesson planning? You already know?
I think some of them might not know because we have 19 SMU.
Yes, teacher. If you already know these title or like these some topic, teachers, please let me know. You can raise hands or you can type yes or no like that.
No familiar, teacher.
No familiar, teacher. Thank you. Like for the first 1 hour, there are 29 or 28 teachers, but right now there are only 18 or 20. That's one.
Maybe some of them internet connection is not stable.
Yes, teacher. Teachers, please have a look at these pie chart A, B, C, D, E. So these charts show the starring and settling, the starring level and the settling level. So which chart show the best one? The answer is not only one digit.
B, teacher.
And
A,
A for me.
only A, teacher.
A as also E.
Yeah, B. Teachers, let's think about is A. So firstly, the student motivation level and their interest level is here because of the games or activity. Their attention level is here, start. And then it's up, a little bit down, and normal, and up. So at the end of the lesson, so do you think at the time, can we, yeah, high motivation, can we make them to calm down?
No.
No.
For younger student, no.
Yeah, for younger student, no. But it will be suitable for the adult learner. Yeah.
Yes.
And what about B, teacher? Is it appropriate?
The motivation decrease to the bottom.
Yeah, decrease. And a little bit up at the end of the lesson. So let's think about C, teacher.
It's fluctuating.
Yeah, up and down. It's very immediate, the immediate action. It will not easy for the young learner. They play the game and then we have to let them calm down and another game. It will not easy for the young learner. And what about D?
D is also not good because the motivation decreased to the bottom, but
Yes.
and suddenly reach to the peak.
Yeah. But for me, I would choose B and
E.
B and D because
What about E?
A,
E.
E,
E, teacher, yes.
yes. Yeah, E is like, firstly, the motivation level is not very high. It is normal between 2 and 4. Yeah, it is also E. So B, D, and E. Please keep in mind that these motivation level show for only young learners. So the best chart is B, D, and E. For me. Yeah. So that's all for today, teachers. Let's call it a day. Do you have any question?
No question, teacher.